Hello there. Nice to see you here. I know that I'm the last obstacle between you and the bar, so I will try to don't keep you very thirsty. So, my name is Ivan. I'm working at PandaDoc as kind of director of architecture. It's a strange title, but let's skip it. I'm going to speak today about a very special topic for me, probably not for you, but sorry, it happens. It will not be about the nice systems like Viber talk, for instance, discussing the real system. It's always nice to discuss a real system. I will be discussing real practices, the activities which we need to do to create architecture. It's a bit different. And to narrow down scope even more, I'm going to bring you to the edge of the architecture practices because this multi-domain, continuously evolving systems in growing and changing organization is a combination of all paying components possible, right? All the strengths and volatility and distance is always coming your way. So paying guaranteed, right? And in this context, I am going to discuss how we can do architecture work, and in general, engineering work. So I try to tell you some stories, some small and seemingly not interconnected stories, but in the end, we figure out what's the real story about this. So the first small story is about decentralization. Here you can see like a screenshot. It's a live link on Miro of the pre-published book from one of the interesting experts in architecture domain. This book is very interesting, but unfortunately it's closed under the paywall on O'Reilly website. But if you have access for some reason, please take a look. It is about how the process of developing complex system changing right now. So we're moving from like a silent revolution from centralized architecture decision-making to distributed on-the-spot decision-making flow. It's stream aligning teams, the very bottom item. It's not really clear here, but it's a consistent process of designing the product, the system, and designing the organization in the same time, because they are very connected, not only by the Conway law, but, well, it's all actually comes to Conway law, but connection is that's very cohesive and tightly coupled, right? So why it happens now, actually? Because very dynamic companies, including PandaDoc, of course. I'm the first participant of this process to see how any kind of expert or architect or almighty mega mind quickly becomes a bottleneck, because all we need in very competitive industries is a continuous flow, and we speed up the flow, speed up. Flow is everything. And any centralized authority quickly becomes a bottleneck. So it's a pity, but solution as prescribed in the book and in my evidence as well is to create architect in each team. That's one of the options. Or make team the architect, like collaborative architect itself. I put this term grow architecture decision-making capability, but it's pretty much the same. So the whole team is architect. How they do it, it's a black box. We don't know, but we can help them, and we will see how. Small story. The next story is about cross-functional. I start from a side. I put again this very boring definitions of what architecture is and what ADR is. Two most popular definitions ever. The architecture is from ISO and TOGAF, and ADR is from GitHub library of practices. So you probably know them by heart, just a reminder. And basically, what I want to point is I've seen a lot of decisions made by the guys with a product management head, with a sales organization or customer success, which absolutely fit the definition, right? So it's principles which influence design and evolution of the system made by these guys. But I never seen any ADRs or architecture documents about these decisions. They happen somehow, and people just pretend that there's requirements, architecture requirements. But how it can be architecture requirements when we can influence and change and select most optimal way to solve the problem? It's not a requirement. It's just another architecture decision. So for me, this true cross-functional approach is not about adding backend and frontend and QA guy to one team. It's a multidisciplinary way. Anyone who can influence product is actually architect. It's another small story. And if we take a look, yes, I know that you're skeptical about it, so I put some examples of such decisions for which I'd like to see any ADRs. Unfortunately, never seen. So, yep. So, what it means for us, it means that the big part of the context, which is important for making successful architecture, is not documented. It lives in some out of engineering flow artifacts, or it's even anecdotal and verbally known. So for high performance teams and high complexity products, it's not actually acceptable. And next small story is about evolution. Here I put links to two very, very nice books. I really like both of them. First one is one of my favorites. They say very pragmatic and good advice. Love them. But in essence, when you read through and trying to find the guidance, you mostly see that we need to control the fitness function. So to ensure that our architecture is good. You see, not our system, not our product is good, but our architecture is good, right? So we focus on model. And for system, we just need to control this non-functional stuff, how we perform, how we scale. That's nice, but it's not enough, unfortunately. And we know it, right? Because domain-driven design is proven that it's not enough. And smallest increments, very good advice, but not a real guide on how to build a big epic as a set of small possible increments and what to do. So my understanding of evolutional story is a bit different. I don't have a feedback of book authors yet. Hopefully I will have a chance to talk with them, but for me, evolution is about the system itself, not about fitness function of the architecture. And this requires, again, to have a different viewpoint to the system. It's not a feature-focused, increment-focused viewpoint. It's focused on the whole history from the beginning to the current situation of product area, right? So we can trace all the decisions, understand why the system evolves this way, all these mutations, right? And from this perspective, we can take any increment, any feature, even huge epics, decompose to autonomous product areas, and see them as a next mutation towards the ideal state for each domain, right? Because the only working functional decomposition of the system, unfortunately, it's a domain-based decomposition because it guarantees you consistency in coupling and cohesion, right? Lots of buzzwords, sorry about this, but it's the way I'm thinking, right? So this evolutionary story is a bit blurred, but all I suggest is to look at the system as a whole and see how it evolves towards the ideal state. It's how we develop it. And even if product managers come with a feature, you can change the angle, change the viewpoint, and see it, how it contributes to ideal state of multiple domains. Next small story is about collaboration. It's partially related to the statement about the bottlenecks, you remember. But in fact, it's more than this. We all know that humans weak. They are weak. So, but we don't have AI architects yet. So teams to the rescue. So team with especially build and work together, really collaborating team is a huge step towards the ideal architect state, right? Especially when they are able to share the context, they're able to align. It's only possible with special tooling, but it's possible. So team is more than any its member. So basically what it means, collaboration is already known trend, probably for you. All the suggestions from experts like event storming practice, it's a big collaboration. And it's cross-functional collaboration because you bring together subject matter experts and engineers and others. So all the evidence, all the trends are visible. Collaboration is another trend of the future. And ownership story. It's right, we even heard today that Fibery is understands the value of we build it, we run it concept, right? The ownership end-to-end, from the idea to the operations on the production and user adoption. It's all part of the same initiative development evolution, right? Sometimes I put here an article link about product-minded engineers. It's actually the same. The product-minded engineer is thinking backwards. So it's thinking about how we operate, how we adopt the feature, and get back to how we design, how we build it. So it's basically the ownership story. But most of the articles say it's like magical ability of some people to be product-minded, and some people cannot do it. And you can build a culture, or you can do some magic. But basically, it's the right flow, the right viewpoint to the system, how we think backwards and focus from how we adopt and operate the system to how we design system. So it's think back. The summary in yellow is what's important. So this means that engineer not only thinking about building system, but about how we operate and adopt system, right? So it's all together. If you try to see patterns in all my small stories, they are about extending areas of expertise, competency, and responsibility of the engineering teams, right? They need to become architects, they need to own end-to-end, they need to view system at multiple angles, viewpoints, from evolution, from feature. So yeah, to develop a complex system in modern dynamic environments is how to become the unicorn in space. It's almost like this. Lots of stuff to learn, lots of responsibilities to perform, and basically without special magic, it doesn't work from scratch. You cannot come to the company and say, so from tomorrow we will have this ownership, the distributed decision making with cross-functional and so on. So probably alternative is to not blow the mind of the team, but provide the team with the right methodology, tooling, approach. What can it be? So my second part about the talk is what this architecture copilot system might look like. So I see multiple organizations and brands trying to build a straightforward AI engineer. So you say prompt, please build me a site. And it's create all this infrastructure, logic, front-end, architecture documents, probably not. So it's nice, but I don't believe it will be successful soon because of the always recursive evolutional aspect, right? So any new change you need to take into account previous change, and it's grow and grow. And for me, you need, okay, you can lose evolutional aspect, but it will be suboptimal, or you need to adopt the evolutional part, but you cannot be a straightforward model. So what I can see as a solution here, we come into the happy end, the possible solution, is to mimic the real cognition of engineers. Because engineers use the intuitive way of thinking and combine it with this formal way of thinking, right? So we have intuitions, we put some models, and then we make POC prove this model, and then we make other intuitives hypotheses. And with combination of this fast thinking and slow thinking efforts, we iteratively come to optimal decisions with available context, because it always depends on the context, right? If you don't have part of context, you likely be not successful, not efficient in building architecture. So provide the right context, provide a right flow as a combination of intuitive AI think with the formal algorithmic or manual steps, and you have better chances already. So how it might be looks like in step-by-step description, right? I put example, a sample flow. It's not detailed real one, because you see some meta-model mapping steps are hiding lots of stuff behind them, and some gaps here. But in essence, a top-down approach like this, for me, has a greatest chance to be efficient as automatic engineer, as AI engineer. So let's see the real complexity in this meta model, because it depends on it, highly depends. If meta model is not able to get all the context and make it available by viewpoints according to multidisciplinary, multifunctional approach, then we fail, because we lose some part of the context and the system will not be efficient. So the right meta model is the core of solution. I don't have examples of meta model here, but basically it's a combination of domain-driven design meta model with subdomains, events, entities. It's part of it. Part of meta model might be come from CQRS, like command, for instance. Some elements can come from business architecture, like capability model and use case model. So coming together, this meta model should be able to gather all the context, even non-technical context, from product manager, sales, and other experts, and provide information to lower level design steps, technical design, technical decisions. So my hobby and my specialty for last 8 years actually is to build the system. Of course, instead of code generation from AI, I still work with humans, but the flow, the recognition flow is the same. So building the super system model, trying to build a domain model, trying to build a extended meta model, and then coming to technical decisions and write code afterwards. To make this flow not very painful for engineers, I tried to use multiple tools, multiple combination of tools. And actually, Fiber is one of the good candidates. Unfortunately, we didn't go with it because of pricing model. But it was shortlisted, yes. So you see, to create something like I described, you need to get lots of products, different systems with different data formats, integrate, make it flexible enough to be used autonomously by different teams, to leave some flexibility and ownership to the team, to not make hard constraints, but to enable and empower people to aggregate and share the context in the right way as a model, not as a tons of documents in ad hoc format, right? Because Google Docs come in your way, you need to read, to understand, and build the meta model in your mind. We are trying to make this transform into meta model, this unified way of dealing with information, and only then consume and produce architecture artifacts. Sounds scary, but in Panda we kind of have the lightweight process, but I'm not happy with it. It's still Frankenstein monster. So what I think I need to do is to build it finally myself, because I tired from looking hopelessly the product that can solve all my problems, all my pains. So here I'm first time announcing that I want to build this thing. It will be long run, and I want to encourage you to not probably join, but probably contribute or give me some feedback. I'm eager to have interviews with people running different architecture processes, notations, flows, styles. So it's not zooming. but probably later when you have access to the deck, you can zoom into it deeper and see the actual product and context, how it works together. Basically, I come into an end, so just wanted to invite you. Here will be the link to waitlist, to like community of people who want to contribute. And of course, I prepared another waitlist for organizations who would like to try to adopt this flow. Again, probably not with AI engineer, with human engineers, but with better equipped for dealing with high complexity, high dynamic, painful systems. So that's it. I tried to be fast. Bar is in one step, but still you have chance to ask me questions.